You are listening to, you are absolutely listening to the George Espinlove Show, coming to you live from the Funny Farm. Now, with no further ado, here comes Georgie!
Wednesday night at the Funny Farm, in a place called Our World. Thank you. I say it so often, but you are a rowdy bunch, I'm telling you, but I'd have it no other way. You're listening to the George Espinlove Show, coming to you from Our World, and we are at the Funny Farm. Live Monday through Friday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. We welcome you to the show. To all of our friends, and when we say this, we are not exaggerating one bit. To all of our friends down the street, around the corner, across this great nation, and around the world. To our friends in the UK, the Philippines, Italy, so on, so forth, down under, over top, side of us, wherever. To all of our friends. We are reaching people around the world, and we are having a ball, and it's all because of you that we're having so much fun, and I hope you are too. I want to say before we bring our guest on tonight, I mentioned last night, and I asked folks, and for you that didn't hear the show last night, to go to cpkelly.com. That's cpkelly, that's Kelley, cpkelly.com. We had him on our show, and I'll say a little more after our guest leaves tonight. We had him on our show around the 17th of December. He's a man that has just released his first single, and he has a dream of finishing his album. Now, C.P. Kelley is a great individual, and he has been struck with a cousin, what they call a cousin of multiple sclerosis. His medical bills are tremendous. His prognosis is good right now, and we're so thankful for that. The man can flat out sing. And so his publicist, Jason Dowd, started a Kickstarter fund. We need somewhere around $800 for CP to finish his album, at least $800. And we want you to go to cpkelly.com and scroll down there a little bit, and you'll see a place that'll take you to another place that'll give you the link that'll take you to the Kickstarter fund, and there you can donate. And if he doesn't get the $800, then no one's money is taken from their account, those that have pledged. We hope that we can send them over the top with more than $800, and we have 25 days left. So I trust, I pray, I hope that you'll help us help this man reach and accomplish his dream of completing his album in the studio. C.P. Kelley, KELLEY.com. And I'll give you more on that later on. We want to welcome, Charlie, help me with this thing here, okay? Okay, you're a good man. All right. Okay, thank you very much, thank you. We have as a guest tonight, Kerry Kendall, who has written a book called Goot for You. G-O-O-T, Good for You. And we're going to bring her on right about now, and I think she's going to make us all laugh. Kerry, welcome to the George Espinlove Show.
Thank you, George. Glad to be here.
I mentioned to you before we went on the air that as I was reading your material the last couple of days, and particularly today, it was hilarious. Everything I read made me laugh.
Well, good, because because the laughter saved me.
I almost felt guilty. I have to confess, I almost felt guilty because I think here I sit laughing, and it sure wasn't no laughing matter to this lady as she was going through it, was it?
Not right then, but after I had time to think about things, looking at them through the eyes of somebody else, maybe an objective observer, they are quite funny. The situations in my life are quite funny because of the life I got into, and the situation being married to an older man with money who was divorced, who had 3 children, who didn't really parent those children but enabled them. I mean, that's a situation that you expect to see Saturday night on CBS at 8 o'clock. And it was my life. And it was like Lucy at the Chocolate Factory. Things were out of control. And I had to laugh.
Before all this happened, how can I say it? In your other life, you were doing what?
Well, I was your typical overachieving young woman who graduated high school in 1977, and those of us were, after the feminism that our some of our mothers or older sisters got into, we just thought we could do anything, and that was my attitude. So I went out and I tried to do anything, and I became one of the first television sportscasters in the country as a woman. And it was great, and I had a lot of fun, and that lasted for about 12 years, and then I decided I didn't want to do that anymore, and I became a teacher, and I became very good at that. So I taught television production, and I loved working with young people, and I still dabbled in a little bit of television work every now and then. But overall, I was a career woman who really didn't think I would get married and have kids. That was okay because I had some goals and I was achieving them.
I was reading somewhere that when you were teaching the television production thing, that was at a high school, right?
Yes, in fact, George, it was at Newtown High School, where the tragedy occurred on December 14th in Connecticut, the shooting tragedy. It was right there in that wonderful town of Newtown.
A lot of your students, or many of your students, some of your students, I'll get the word right here, went on to continue in show business, huh?
Oh, yes, we had a wonderful television production facility there, and they still do. And I have one student who already debuted a film at the Cannes Film Festival, another one who is going to Sundance this next year, and a lot of documentary filmmakers, and they're in showbiz because they started back there in Newtown and really had a flair for it, and they were encouraged, and it was just a great program. So I have it's like a maternal feeling towards them. I feel that someday I will walk that red carpet at the Oscars because of one of them. I'll get the extra ticket, say, yes, she can come this year.
And that'll give you that real warm and fuzzy feeling deep down inside.
Oh, yes, keeping in touch with all of my students has been great. I can't tell you how wonderful Facebook has been for that. Just finding out what they're doing and how they're achieving, and a lot of them are, getting married and having kids, plus having careers. It's really nice because that's the normal part of my life. My home life with my husband and his dysfunctional adult children will never be normal. It's almost like this is the Munsters or Addams family at home, yet next door is Mr. and Mrs. Cleaver with Beaver and Wally.
If I cough every now and then, please forgive me because I'm still getting over this whatever this thing is called, and I'll probably cough when you get me laughing.
Okay.
You have a blog also, right? kerrykendall.blogspot.com.
Yes, kerrykendall.blogspot.com, and I have an author's website, which is kerrykendall.com, KerryKendall.com. And let me point out right here, George, that if you Google Kerry Kendall, I do come up on the first page, but also, this woman comes up who's like been in Playboy and in movies that, you know, my parents wouldn't let me see, never alone be in.
Uh-huh.
So I like to point out the difference. I'm the got the reddish brown hair. She's the blonde. So I don't like people to get us confused.
I know. When I googled you, and I came across that, but I did know the difference.
Good.
But at the
Yeah.
same time, I thought, wow, ain't that something? You know.
Well, that was pointed out to me years ago. I think it was like 1992 or somewhere. And I was back in Connecticut, and an old boyfriend of mine called me from California. I used to do television out there. And he said, "Hey, I see you're in the centerfold of Playboy," you know, joking with me. And I said, "What?" And he said, "Really? Her name is Kerry Kendall." So I went out and bought the magazine, the one and only time I ever bought Playboy magazine. But I had Kerry Kendall.
So everything was had some order to it in your past life.
Yes, everything was wonderful, going along swimmingly. Myself and my other female friends who were overachieving career women, we had great lives. And then I met the man who would be my husband. But before this, my dear friend Julie, who I also write about in the book called Goot for You, she married a man older than her with 3 children. And for about 5 or 6 years, she had been telling me stories, horror stories, that I thought she was exaggerating about him and how he handled or didn't handle his daughters. And I thought, nobody could be that stupid, and no kids could be that bad. Well, when I started dating David, my husband, she said to me, "What, are you nuts? Don't you know what I'm going through? I tell you every little thing." And I guess I thought she was exaggerating, or I didn't think that I could get into a situation like that. I'm too smart to get into a situation where I'm not in control. Well, anyways, I married David. He enables his 3 children. He always did and continues to do so. And my life is just chaotic because of it. His children are now 38, 33, and 25. And David and I have been together 18 years. So over the past 18 years, I have suffered with this dysfunctional stuff in my life. And let me give you an example. One day I come home, and my husband was supposed to bring home stuff for dinner, and he wasn't there. So I'm waiting. Hours go by. Finally, in the evening, he comes home with his youngest son. And I said, "Well, where were you?" And he goes, "Well, Brian got arrested." And I said, "For what?" He said, "Well, it was all a misunderstanding." And I said, "But it's 7:00 at night. When did this happen?" He said, "Well, it was this morning." I said, "Well, where have you been?" "We were with the FBI." And, you know, that's just a great opening for, you know, I grew up on sitcoms. That's a great opening for a sitcom. You know, I had to go pick up the kid because he got arrested by the FBI. And it's things like that would happen all the time. And I got to remember over the years that the same kinds of things happened to my friend Julie. So she and I started a competition. It usually peaked around holiday time, around 3-day weekends, where I'd say to her, "Okay, I don't know what's going to happen this weekend, but I bet you I'm going to win." And she'd say, "Oh, no, I'm going to win." So we had this crown, this figurative crown, that one of us would win, depending on how stupid the stepkids or husband were over that weekend. There was one New Year's Eve where I called her at midnight, and I said, "You're not going to believe this. Both boys got arrested tonight." And she said, "You're not going to believe this. We're on the 2nd generation. The grandson's in jail." So it's like, and we were powerless, and that's the thing. That's why I wrote the book, George. The book, I want to fall in the hands of some young career woman who's about to make a mistake by marrying into a family that never healed or never found its way, because you're no longer in control. And, you know, I know I've read about you. You've been married for, what, 40-something years?
Uh-huh.
Okay, well, I'm in my 50s, and if I married an older man, he's 15 years older than I am, and Julie's husband is 20 years older than her. So we're kind of married into an older generation, and they still see the wives as one step below the husbands.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, you get into that situation, and you're expected to do the cooking and the cleaning and all that, and then you have no control because it's their children and their previous life. So you go from being this career woman who is totally in control to being in this situation where in your own house you're surrounded by chaos and can't do anything about it. So the book Goot for You, Goot for You, is filled with laughter about it because I couldn't do anything else. I had no power. I can remember sitting in my beautiful walk-in closet under my clothes, crying and saying to myself, "I've got to get out of this." But I never did, George. I'm still married.
Was there a literal crown, or was it a make-believe crown?
Well, it's a make-believe crown, but I think we both do have tiaras in our closet that we kind of got, for funny pictures. But no, it's a figurative crown. But I tell you, it's been crazy the way the competition has gone. Julie had one daughter, and I say had because she has since committed suicide. But this one daughter, Stacy, she had a child in high school, then got out of high school and married the father of the child, got divorced, got married 2 more times, divorced 2 more times, then moved in with her mother, then decided she was a lesbian, so moved in with a lesbian lover, then decided she wasn't a lesbian and moved back in with her mother, then found the man of her dreams, got married for the 4th time, and then a year later, she got divorced because the man she married, the man of her dreams, turned out to be a pedophile and a stalker. You can't make this stuff up.
No, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Yes, and then this whole time with the 3 marriages and 3 divorces and the lesbian time and then the 4th guy, all this time, my dear friend Julie had to be the stepmother, so to speak, in all ways, shapes, or form. When Christmas came, of course, the girl wanted to bring whomever to the house for Christmas, and we have to sit there and smile and watch our husbands write checks to these people who are irresponsible, unemployed, and on welfare. And I say this not, I don't say that lightly, because my husband's 3 children are on welfare, and they're all able to work, but they've always been enabled their whole lives by daddy welfare, that it's turned into government welfare. They're all on Medicaid, all on food stamps, and it's just a ridiculous situation. And I'm still in it. That's why I wrote about it. It helps me. That book helps me so much to get all my feelings out. And like I say, I really hope somebody reads it and says, I'm not going to do this. And they don't have to, because I already did.
When Julie was telling you about this,
mm-hmm.
and you were saying what so many of us had said in our life at least one time, I'm too smart to get caught up in something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know your husband's the baggage that he carried?
I really didn't, because he always said the kids are good, and they really weren't a part of our lives when we were dating, not so much. The youngest one was. We used to take him places, and he ended up living with us from 7th grade on. But I didn't really know, and I think it's because I didn't look, and I don't think anybody in my situation would have looked. First and only time I got married, I was 37 years old. I thought I knew enough. I thought I was mature enough. I thought I was independent enough to handle anything. So I didn't look for trouble, because trouble never found me. I pretty much had a relatively safe life because I always took control of it. And now here I was losing control to this man who thought he had control, but who was only managing with money. Do you write checks to your adult children, George?
Pardon?
Do you write checks to your adult children?
Do I write checks to my oh no no
Like not for rent or car insurance or cars or anything.
no, man. We had an understanding, publicly announced to all four of them a long time ago, that if you're down and out, I mean, legitimately down and out,
Yeah.
you got the help. But if you're up and about and you're able, you're on your own, Jack.
Yeah. Well, we have one. My husband's oldest, the 38-year-old. He delivers pizzas. That's all he's ever done is deliver pizzas, and under the table too. He doesn't get a real paycheck, and so he doesn't pay taxes. And he's 38 years old and has been delivering pizzas since he was 16. Now, you'd think this child longevity would be a plus, but it's not always been for the same pizza maker. And my husband helps him with his rent, gets him cars so he can deliver those pizzas. And when I ask my husband, why do you do this? And he says, well, he can't make it by himself. And I say to him, how would you ever know? And then the conversation stops, and I get the look. So, but it just goes on and on. And it's a really, it's a funny book because it's a sad, tragic life.
When I read that part, excuse me, when I read the part about the pizza man, and even as I'm
Pizza boy,
pizza boy, okay, and even as I sit here talking to you, I feel funny if I laugh, because I know it wasn't funny when you was going through this, but when I got to that part, the pizza boy, I lost it. I mean, I just came unglued. You know, I'm 64 years old, been 3/4 of the way around the world, raised 4 kids, got 11 grandkids, and so on and so forth. But I've never heard of such a thing.
Well, you know, speaking of your past life, your military life and things, if there was a draft in this country, maybe these kids might have been saved. But as it is, nobody made them do anything. But it's, you know, my book is dedicated to my former psychiatrist. I now live in Florida, but when I lived in Connecticut, my psychiatrist, Dr. Tariq Pereira, who is just wonderful, and he's been quite popular. He's been on the Dr. Oz show and things, but he used to laugh at me. Every week I would go to him and tell him the stories, and he would laugh, and I'd say to him, is this ethical for you to be laughing at me? And he'd say, but you are so funny. And I thought to myself, well, yeah, I am. And then I always had this secret desire to get on stage and be a stand-up comic. So this is kind of my foot into comedy, because all the stories in this book are funny, tongue-in-cheek in some way, and yet I'm getting a good story out that I hope warns other young women.
Maybe, or no doubt, you were good therapy for the doctor himself.
Well, no, I'd probably be more like I'd be a good guest on the Dr. Phil show, or maybe on Maury. Dr. Oz is too above my situation. But I got to tell you this: I got an email from a friend of mine yesterday, and she lives out in California, and she is a writer, and she's been a publisher. She's published several books, and she is just a wonderful take charge lady. She's divorced, so she is, you know, making her own way in the world. And I got to read it to you. She said, just checking in to say hello and find out what you're up to. I am somewhat afraid I may have to reread your book. I've been dating a guy who is not yet divorced, has no separation agreement, and there are 2 kids, great kids, he tells me, ages 16 and 22. And I'm thinking to myself, I've known her for so long. She's read my book. She's helped me with the book. What the heck is she thinking, right? What is she thinking? But, you know, the serious part about the enabling, I've seen that in a lot of other parents. Because of my husband's 3 children who all have addiction problems, I've dragged him to Al-Anon meetings a lot. And I've heard stories about the parents enabling their kids and how when they stop, the kids somehow pull themselves up, because when you hit rock bottom, there's no way to go but up.
Right.
But if you're not allowed to hit rock bottom, you just keep going down and down and down. And that's the situation that I'm in. That's the situation that Julie's in, now with just 2 stepdaughters because Stacy committed suicide. It's a really crazy situation, and I don't have any children of my own, so I'm coming from a place that I don't really know that bond and what it would do to me, but I don't think I would keep doing things to make my children less able. I don't think I would do that. And so I wonder about the enabling factor because I see it all around me, and I don't know why that happens. And here I talk to you, and you don't do it. So I don't know where that comes from, and that's still a mystery to me.
These kids been in and out of trouble. The one was arrested by the FBI.
Yeah, that was quite interesting. He and his friend were overheard talking about violence at school, and this was back in maybe the year 2000, and that was shortly after the Columbine incident, and so they took the violence at school chatter a little bit seriously. And so the protocol, when this little girl reported them, as my husband said, this little freshman girl who didn't even know them, so already he's blaming somebody else. But when she reported them for talking about violence in school, the principal's protocol was to call the police, and the police protocol was to call the FBI. So these 2 high school boys who were talking about school violence in the classroom, not in the bathroom or behind the dumpster, and later said that they were talking about a video game, which who knows if that's true or not. They were held by the FBI for most of the day, and it's just a crazy situation. It really is. And then when I went to court with him, because my husband was busy, so I'm the one that went to court. You can read into that as much as you want. The other boy was found out that he had quite a record, and our Brian was his latest recruit. So it's been a wild ride. I used to like riding roller coasters, but I can't stomach it anymore.
Oh, this had to be one hellacious roller coaster ride.
Well, it still is, after I published the book, even though all the names have changed and there's a disclaimer and all that, I got a drunken call from the daughter, the middle child. She's 33. She is an alcoholic and lives with her mother. She doesn't work or do anything. And she called and she threatened to kill me. And then, of course, her mother called and threatened to sue me. And it's just crazy. And after the daughter called and threatened to kill me, it was a couple of weeks later was her birthday, and I see my husband writing out a card and a check for her. And I'm like, do you think you should be rewarding somebody for that behavior? And he goes, well, it's her birthday. And I said, okay, let me put it this way. Do you think you should be sending money to an alcoholic? And he said, well, what should I send her? It's her birthday. I don't know. Send her a sweater? I don't know. Don't send her anything, It's just, they, no matter what they do, they get more, because, a man in my husband's position and Julie's husband's position, men who have money because they're self-made men, they both worked very hard for it. They think that they can solve all the problems. And their main way of solving problems is to throw money at it. And so that's what they keep doing. And in business, it usually works great. But with children, it doesn't.
Has that been the case the kids' whole life? I mean,
Yes.
they've never went without or anything they wanted, they got, and so on and so forth.
Right. These kids were raised in Westport, Connecticut, which is like the Beverly Hills of Connecticut. And, they always got whatever they wanted and more, and were made to feel that they deserved it. And I don't really know where that comes from. I'm from a blue-collar family, lower middle class, and I never felt that. And I always thought that the rich kids had it easy, but they don't. If all they're doing is getting things and not achieving anything. When I look back at my high school class, a lot of us blue-collar kids from my neighborhood are doing quite well, and a lot of the rich kids are dead.
Mm-hmm.
So, it just goes to show you that hard work really does pay off. I was raised with the Puritan ethic, and that does make you a strong person.
Do you ever sit down and think, and I know there's probably no way that you can do it, but do you ever think what it would have been like if you wouldn't have Julie?
Oh my goodness! If I didn't have Julie, if she and I didn't have each other to complain to and to laugh with, I think we would have both been in a worse place than we are. We're both still married to these men, but we both never visited psychiatrists until these problems, sent us down that spiral. And we got on antidepressant medications, and of course we drank a lot of wine and tried, different cocktails, to wash down the pills. We went through that typical thing. But now that we're out the other side, I'm still on some antidepressant meds because my situation is still going on. In Julie's case, the two remaining daughters don't contact them at all, and their father doesn't contact them, and neither does their mother. In that situation, their mother knew how destructive they were too. So that situation has kind of ended, not on a good note. Whereas my situation still continues. We still get the phone calls all the time, even though the children are in Connecticut and we're in Florida. The phone rings, and when it's ringing at 2:00 in the morning, it's not going to be a good call.
Mm-hmm. Do they live? Excuse me. Do they live in a home in Connecticut that belongs to you and your husband, or do they live out? No.
Well, not really. The oldest one, Pizza Boy, he lives in an apartment that is. My husband says he helps him with the rent, and sometimes he says he doesn't help him, but read into that. And the girl lives with her mother in an apartment, and the two apartments are very close to each other. And then the third child, the boy who's 25, he bounces between those two. When he lives with his brother and gets drunk and mad and takes out his knife and hurts his brother in some way or cuts him or something, the brother throws him out. And so then he goes to the mother's house with the drunk sister. And there have been times when he's ended up in jail and the sister's ended up in the hospital, and then he bounces back to his brother's house. And it's just chaotic. It's just, I don't know. It's like white trailer park trash.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how that happens when you grow up in Westport, Connecticut with all the money you want, great schools, and great support system around you. How it could all just collapse.
It does make you scratch your head.
I know. Can parents do that much damage? My parents were alcoholics, and neither my brother nor I are alcoholics. And I thought we had a pretty bad childhood. But boy, we came out of it, and we're fine. So who knows? Who knows? But I got to tell you one interesting thing. I contacted a lot after my book came out. A lot of people from my high school actually contacted me through Facebook and things. And one guy, he's out in California, and we were talking, and he's currently going through a divorce. And I said to him, I can't believe I'm still married. I love my husband very much. I hate the situation we're in, but when we're just together, we are a great, fun couple. And he is just everything I've looked for in a husband except for the enabling parent part. Well, anyways, I was telling this to my friend Tony, and Tony said to me, Kerry, I think you're not divorced because you're too competitive. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, look at all you've done in your life. You're always in it to win it. You're always in it to be the best. And a lot of children of alcoholics are like that because we think if we're better or more perfect, our parents will straighten out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the way I lived my life. And everything I wanted to do, I wanted to be the best at. And now it's like, as Tony pointed out to me, maybe that's what it is in a competition for my marriage. I need to win. I need to win my husband away from the mutant offspring that are sucking the life out of him. And I don't think I'll stop. So I don't think divorce is in my future.
When you were teaching,
Mm-hmm.
excuse me, when you were teaching, you at least had something to occupy your time and your mind with. although you was going through this other stuff, right?
Oh yeah. Hmm.
Did
Yeah, the teaching helped because it filled a lot of time and took a lot of energy.
did you leave your teaching job before you went to Florida, or did
No,
you?
no. We came to Florida, and in fact, I continued to teach down here for 3 years. But my husband wanted to, retire and play golf, and I wanted to do more writing. I write for a website, and I do some other things with writing. And I have a speakers group now, which you can see on my website, kerrykendall.com. We're called the Not Dead Yet Girls, various authors for comic relief.
I'll bet
So
you
I
that's a
wanted to-
bunch.
Yeah, it is. We're ages 53 through 80, and we are a hoot.
I'll bet.
We are a hoot. But yeah, when we got here to Florida, I wanted to do other things, but that, of course, did leave me with some free time at the beginning, and that's when I decided to put all of my notes into the book. I think I wrote for my own therapy. This book took about 10 years to write, only because I was writing down stories the whole way and turning them into chapters. And finally, I got off my butt and put it together in a book. And part of that was my group of girls who were saying to me, "You've got to get this out there. You've got to get this out there." Because among my speakers group, we had several published authors. But another reason, like I say, George, is I want people to know what it's like. Just because you're an overachieving career woman in one life, you can get yourself into a situation where you lose control and lose yourself. And I tell you, when I was young, I never thought I'd end up on a psychiatrist's couch. I really didn't. I didn't think I'd end up sitting on the floor of my closet crying. And I can't tell you how many holidays have been ruined by different circumstances where instead of decorating a Christmas tree, I was off crying somewhere. So it's not all it's cracked up to be from the outside. You'd think if you married somebody with money who was ready to retire and live this wonderful retirement life in this wonderful community in Florida, that you'd pretty much had it made, and it's not all it looks like from outside.
When the good thing is they didn't come to Florida with you, right?
Well, no, except a few years ago, the youngest one, the 25-year-old, when he was 23, after dabbling in college for 6 or 7 years and flunking out several times, he decided he needed to get his life together. So he asked if he could come down here, and it is in the book. He asked if he could come down here and stay with us. So I put down some guidelines. I said to my husband, as long as he gets a job, goes to school, and you control his money, so he'll have something for when I kick him out. And so my husband agreed to that. Well, I tell you, he got here in like August. By October, George, I had the sheriff take him out of here in handcuffs because he held a knife to my husband's throat. He threatened to kill me, which is popular with my husband's children. They all want to kill me. But, it got to the point where it was just out of control, and he was out of control, and I knew that my husband couldn't handle him, and I couldn't handle him, so it was time to call the sheriff. So that was quite a situation.
What does your husband think about a book that's before the whole world? What does he think about it?
Well, he's glad that they're not real names, including mine. It's my maiden name. Actually, it's my TV name, Kerry Kendall. It's not even my maiden name. And we've got the disclaimers, and I've read him most of the book as I was writing it, and he doesn't think that the same parts that I think are funny, he doesn't think are funny. But I think he can appreciate that I needed to write it, just like I can appreciate it that he needs to be the enabler. We've come to this common ground where, hey, if you're going to do this stupid stuff that is just hilarious to the outside world, I'm going to write about it. And, that's where we are.
Could you tell us about the time that he got arrested?
Oh, yeah, this is great. It's my husband now. Now, my husband, who had never been arrested, never been in trouble, has this rage towards his 3 children that he never directs towards them. He directs it at everybody else. He just holds it all inside. And I've had him to psychiatrists and psychologists and, like I said, Al-Anon meetings and such. And he still, thinks that what he's doing is right and he's going to win and yada, yada, yada. So anyways, we were at a wedding in the town that I taught in Newtown. And it was a wedding of his one of his coworkers. And we had separate cars because he had to go somewhere earlier in the day. So at the end of the evening, I said to him, do you want to just take one car home, come back for the other one? He said, no, we'll take both cars. So I followed him down this hill, and he gets road rage, tremendous road rage. That's where a lot of his rage comes out. We go down this hill, and there's a roadblock, and there's a policeman at the bottom of the road, and I'm about 3 or 4 cars back, but I can see what's going on, and it was a cold, still winter night. I rolled down my window, and I could hear what's going on. And the policeman was saying to turn left, and everybody was turning left. Not my husband. He kept saying, well, why? What's going on? Why should I turn left? I want to go straight. So the cop just had no patience either. So the cop gets him out of the car, puts him down on the hood, puts the handcuffs on him, and I'm looking at this like I'm watching a movie. And it's like, I don't believe this. My husband's being taken out of his car. The cops throwing him down in the trunk. They're putting handcuffs on him because he wouldn't follow the directions and turn left at the roadblock. This is crazy. So I thought, could I go down the hill and, get him out of this trouble? And I thought, well, I don't know. And I thought to myself, well, what would Dr. Pereira tell me to do? Dr. Pereira would tell me to let him clean up his own mess. So I went down the road, and I turned left, just like everybody else did, without any question, and I went back to the wedding. And I found my husband's boss. Now, my husband's boss had connections with everybody in town, so I knew he could get him out of this jam. So I told him the story. Now, my husband's boss knew about my husband's road rage and his rage in general because of the children. So he had a good laugh. And then he said, don't worry about it, Kerry. Go home. I'll call you. So I went home. It was about midnight. And by about, I think it was about 2 a.m., the phone rings. And it's Sean, the boss. And she's laughing. And he says, Kerry, I can't do anything. The cops say he's being such a, bad word, that they're not going to let him go. And I said, you've got to be kidding. And he goes, no, I can't do anything. I can't believe this. I said, I can't believe it either. So I said, thank you very much. I'll fill you in later. So I hung up. Here it is, like 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm thinking, now what do I do? Should I go to the police station and get him or what? So I thought, what would Dr. Pereira tell me to do? Dr. Pereira would tell me to get a good night's sleep. I was going to need it. So I went to sleep. So a few hours later, the phone rings, and it's my husband. And he says, can you pick me up? And in all my innocence, I said, where are you? I've been so worried. And he said, well, I'm at the Newtown police station. So I said, well, okay. So I went, and I didn't even ask any questions. I went, and I picked him up. He got in the car, and as we're driving home, he's saying, well, it was all a misunderstanding, da-da-da-da-da. So after a few weeks went by, actually, we had a dinner party. And in the meantime, I had gone to see Dr. Pereira and told him the whole story. And this is how I got the title for the book, is I'm telling Dr. Pereira the whole story. And I told him about him getting the cuffs slapped on him and getting put into the back of the police car. Dr. Pereira said to me, and what did you do? And I said, well, I drove on and went back to the wedding. And he goes, good for you. And he has this Indian accent, so it's on G-O-O-T, good for you. So that's where I got the title for my book. But so weeks went on later, and I'm telling this story at a dinner party at our house. And I'm telling about the arrest, and I'm telling about Sean not being able to get him out of jail. And I'm getting to the part about telling Dr. Pereira. And then I realized that in telling this story, this is the first time my husband had heard the story as I was telling it. My point was that I'm okay. I'm going to be all right. I survived the insanity. But he didn't realize until that very moment that I knew where he was that whole night and didn't come get him. Oh, my God. He was so mad. I swear he didn't talk to me for 2 weeks. But the silence was golden. It was absolutely golden.
Were there times, I'm sure there were,
Pardon?
were there times that you just literally thought you was going to lose it? I mean, just go over the edge and not come back?
Yes, and at those times I escaped. Thankfully, working in television as I did for so many years, I have a lot of friends spread throughout the country and relatives. And I would just get up and go somewhere. I usually went to see my friend Julie, who lives in Mississippi. Sometimes I would go see my friend Joyce, who lives in Sarasota, Florida. Sometimes I would go see Lisa, who lives in Shelton, Connecticut. And I would get on a plane and go somewhere because I knew if I didn't, I would do something that I would regret. You know, we're not gun owners, and that's because we can't be, because both of us would kill so much. But yeah, sometimes you just have to escape. Which reminds me, my friend Patricia, she, believe it or not, I have another friend who's in the same situation, married an older man with children who enables his children. Well, anyways, Patricia, she keeps $10,000 in her closet. It's her getaway fund. In case she ever has to just leave, she wants enough money to have the time to take to decide what to do next.
That's a smart lady.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool.
That's someone that's got a plan.
She does, and she's always had it, and I admire her for it. Because it's a difficult situation. You know, that the step-family situation you see on the Brady Bunch is a big fat lie.
Uh-huh.
And in real life, it's not easy. But when you have no control, and the person who is in control is doing things in a way that make the situation worse, time after time after time, it's really crazy. If I weren't a writer, I don't know how I'd survive.
I've told my wife for years, if you ever leave me, I'm going with you. But
well, these days I have another line. After that wonderful movie, what was it, The Bucket List?
Yeah.
With Morgan Freeman and Jack Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson.
Well, now I have a widow's list.
A what?
When things get a widow's list.
A widow's list.
Yes, when things get bad and there's something I want to do that my husband somehow doesn't see that we should do, or he doesn't agree with whatever, I say, okay, dear, I'll just put it on the widow's list. So, someday I'll do it. Someday I'll break away. And by the way, George, when I am a widow, because, you know, if life goes on the way it should, my husband is 15 years older than I am, chances are someday I really will be a widow. And I'm not looking forward to the time. But when it does come, his children, if they're still alive, which may or may not be, if they're still alive, I will wait a good week and a half before I let them know that their father has kicked the bucket.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Because, you know, you don't want to deal with a lot of crap when you're when you're in mourning.
Right,
you know,
right.
It's bad enough dealing with the crap on a day-to-day basis when you're relatively happy in the rest of your life.
Yeah, and for that many years continuously, that's
you know, yeah, you'd think that it would have straightened out, especially with his daughter, because my friend Julie and I, we have a lot of girlfriends. I mean, we are the girlfriend types. We like to go shopping. We like to do things that girlfriends like to do. And you'd think, like one of Julie's 3 stepdaughters or my 1 stepdaughter, you'd think one out of 4 of them would have come around. But not one. Not one.
That's incredible odds. I mean, I'm just sitting here shaking my head.
Well, yeah, and there are more people I actually do write about in the book. One of my friends, Jim, he is the father of 3 children, and he is on his 3rd marriage. And the 2nd marriage, that wife really was done in by the situations with the stepchildren. She went from being a very lovely, straight and narrow working girl trying to fit into the family to, you know, now she's a drunk getting arrested for shoplifting. She really hit rock bottom because of how her life was, and it was so out of control. In that case, both the three children are still on their downward spiral, and she, the second wife, is on her downward spiral. So now he's on wife 3, who seems really nice. I just met her a few months ago, and I told her we have to go shopping in a bookstore someday soon.
I guess the old saying that you can't judge a book by looking at its cover. And like you said prior to this, it's not always what it seems to be.
Well, yeah, a lot of my friends and relatives thought that by me marrying David, my life would just be great. And, the first house we moved into together was a house that he had built as an investment that he always intended to sell.
Mhm.
And I tell you, George, it was huge. It was in Reading, Connecticut. It had marble floors and chandeliers. And it was just, my friend Roseanne, as I write in the book, my friend Roseanne, the first time she walked in, she said, geez, you could put a bowling alley in here. and she was right. You could, but, who would bowl in that neighborhood besides her and I?
Uh-huh.
So, when you look at the things that I have, you'd think that it would be better. But I tell you, peace of mind is something that I really hope I get someday. And I don't know if that's coming during my marriage. It may have to be on my widow's list.
Mm. My I have to tip my hat to you, Kerry. Your fortitude and your determination, and I think you said the word competitiveness.
Well, you got to remember, George, I started out my career after college working in locker rooms, and that wasn't easy.
Right.
So
Right.
I figured I could do anything.
You are one incredible individual, and I tip my hat to you. What's in the future? You got some writings going on in the future?
Well, yes, we have my girls, my not dead yet girls, and we call us that because we are all retired women who are still working at writing and publishing. We have some speaking engagements coming up in the spring, just some local things. We hope to get bigger and better eventually, but right now we're just doing things here in Florida, and we tell things, we talk about life's lessons that we've experienced with a humorous spin, and we hold an audience pretty good. Like I say, we're ages 53 through 80. We've got a lot of life experience. And, let me tell you about the 80-year-old, George. The 80-year-old, she, talk about not judging a book by its cover, she was married to a very wealthy man. And then one day he came home from work and said he lost his job. Then he started drinking, became an alcoholic, eventually drank himself to death. And she was stuck with this great big mansion of a house, great big remodeled gourmet kitchen. Come to find out, he hadn't paid the mortgage in 2 years.
Mm.
And she was alone. So she started a cooking school and became a successful chef. So there's a lot of us out there that have pretty much gotten nailed and will come back up. So, yeah, so my girls, we speak about things like that. And that's what I've got in the future. I hope to do a little more traveling with my husband because we always have fun on vacation. And I've got 3 little furry critters to take care of, 2 cats and a dog. And other than that, I'm just trying to stay sane amidst the chaos that continues.
Dude, did you say there's 5 of you in the group, the ladies?
No, actually, we have about 14 of us.
Oh, my.
But no, we all don't go out to the speaking engagements at the same time. We go out in like groups of 5 or 6, depending on where we're going to speak. But yeah, we've got a stable of about 14 beauties. You can find us through the kerrykendall.com website, or if you just want to go to notdeadyetgirls.com. But I have a link to it through kerrykendall.com. And on our website for the girls, you can see the books that they've published, and there's some really interesting books. And the 80-year-old that I spoke of, her book should be out this year, and it's called Butter, Eggs, and Chocolate, Recipes from My Life, and it's how she got herself out of the hole that her husband had put her in by baking.
How did you all come up with that name for the group?
Well, I've got to take credit for it. It's mine. We 2 of us were talking about it. We were just talking over lunch one day, and I said, we have so many good stories, and we write them all down. We've got to start reading them. We've got to start telling these stories. And, after all, we're not dead yet. And then it's like, oh, yeah, the Not Dead Yet girls. But we want people to know, though, we are serious authors because we have books, and we have books to sell. Good for You is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and everywhere. But we also like meeting the people that we touch with our stories because whenever we've spoken to a group, they like the familiarity of what we talk about because everybody has problems with their children or their mother or something, some kind of sandwich generation thing. And a lot of us have the same memories, too. I mean, with our group, if we're talking to a group that's in, like a group of senior citizens, we can make references to Howdy Doody, and people won't say what, you know? So it depends on our audience. We have all different kinds of stories, and we like to leave people smiling, if not laughing, and just give them something to think about because, you know, life is hard. It's not all hard, but the hard parts, it helps if you can laugh through them.
I think you must have took Mr. Churchill's words literally because you have kept a stiff upper lip through this whole ordeal. I think I would have already passed into the spastic realm.
Well, George, if getting this story out there helps another young career woman avoid the pitfalls of what I've been through, I'll think it's all worth it. And, you know, the funny thing is I was just coming home from Connecticut on an airline a few weeks ago. I was visiting my dad, and I was standing in line behind a woman who was holding a wedding dress. And I said, "Oh, are you getting married?" And she said, "Yes, I'm going to St. Petersburg. We're getting married on the beach." And I said, "Are you the first wife or the second wife?" And she said, "Second." So I whipped out a copy of my book that I just happened to have on me, and I said, "Here's this book. It's called Goot for You, The Laughable Life of a Second Wife. You should read it before the ceremony." So we'll see, because my email is in my book, so we'll see if she gets through it.
Yeah, she might be contacting you and saying thank you for saving my life.
Yeah, well, there's some of the comments I get. You know, I have gone on some websites with other stepmothers and second wives. There are websites for people like us, you know, and they have a lot of the same kinds of stories. Now, I thought mine were pretty bad, but I got to tell you, honestly, George, I've heard some stories worse than mine, and the marriages are still intact. So, you know, overall, these are love stories in a way, but they're also survival stories, and it helps to share these stories. Like you pointed out earlier, if Julie and I didn't have each other, we probably still wouldn't be married to the men we're married to. But having somebody to vent to and somebody to say, "Yes, I understand," and you think that's bad, listen to this, is really very helpful. So hopefully my book will be that for somebody else.
Will you do me one favor, Kerry?
Sure.
Will you please tell that group of ladies that George Espinlov said hello?
I will.
I can just picture the whole group, and just it's got to be a bundle of laughs. Man, but please tell them that I said hello and my best wishes.
And when my 80-year-old girl Barbara publishes her book, I'll get her on your show.
Oh, great! Please do.
Yes,
And any other of the ladies that want to come on, put them in touch with me. I have no problem with that.
All right.
You have been a delightful guest, Kerry.
Well, thank you, George.
I just hope I didn't laugh when I wasn't supposed to laugh, and but I just couldn't help myself.
Well, you know, politically incorrect humor is part of humor, and you know, sometimes you gotta laugh at it.
You're right. The pizza thing just that has been burnt into the recesses of my mind. What I have left.
Oh, pizza boy.
Yeah, I just I'll be telling a lot of people. I'll be telling a lot of people about the pizza boy. Because they'll probably look at me like they usually do. I have two heads or something. But you've been so delightful. I wish you the best in whatever you do. You've got my contact information. Tell some, or all the girls to get in touch with me.
I will.
It's just been a real treat. You made my evening, Kerry. You really have.
Well, thank you, George. Thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you.
Once again, George, the title of the book is Goot for You, Goot, The Laughable Life of a Second Wife by Kerry Kendall.
And we can get it on Amazon, what is it? Smash Words?
Smash Words, Barnes & Noble, or you can go to kerrykendall.com and get directed to all of those.
All righty. I've got it up on my Facebook page and in our show page on Facebook, so we'll get people pointed in the right direction. Thank you so much, Kerry, and God bless
Thanks,
you.
George. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. What a delightful lady. Oh, my goodness gracious. We just never know. I'll be back right after this. I'm going to play New Way to Fly by C.P. Kelly. And I don't want to keep harping on this, but this is his new single that just came out on December 15th. We had him on the 17th. Came out on a Saturday. We had him on a Monday. His dream is to complete his album. He needs to go back into the studio. He needs somewhere around $800 to complete this project. C.P. Kelly has been stricken with what they call a cousin of multiple sclerosis. Right now, he's doing very well with his medication and the doctors watching over him, so on and so forth. That doesn't mean that it can stay like that. His publicist made the statement, and I think it's on the Kickstarter Fund webpage, that the only thing that's going to stop C.P. Kelly from fulfilling his dream would be death. That's the only thing. He is so determined. He is a tremendous individual. For you that have listened to his show when he was on December 17th, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't listened to that show, please go back to the archives and listen to C.P. Kelly. Go to cpkelly.com. That's Kelly, Kelley, cpkelly.com. And just scroll down there a little bit, and you'll see the link that'll take you to someplace else, and then you'll see the link that takes you to Kickstarter Fund. $800. We either get $800 so CP can get back into the studio, or we get nothing. It's $800 or nothing. Let's send him over the top. I mean that. Let's send him over the top. $800 is the minimum. Now listen, the minimum that you can give is $1. $1. If 800 would give $1, we would go $800. We have already put in our pledge. Please do the same, whether it's $1 or $5 or $10, whatever. But from your heart, help this man. And you know me, I don't usually get involved in too many things, but I am passionate about this. Help this man, C.P. Kelly, fulfill his dream. cpkelly.com. Help him. This is his single that was released December 15th. Tremendous singer.
Like birds on a high line, they line up at night time at the bar. They all once were lovebirds, and bluebirds are all that they are. They landed in L the minute they fell from love's sky, and now they hope in the wine that they'll find a new way to fly. A new way to fly, far away from goodbye, above the clouds and the rain, the memories and the pain, and the tears that they cry. And now the lessons been learned, they've all crashed and burned. They can leave it behind as soon as they find a new way to fly. By the end of the night, they'll be high as a kite once again. They don't seem to mind all the time for the money they spend. It's a high price to pay to just find a way to get by. But it's worth every dime till they find a new way to fly. A new way to fly, far away from goodbye, above the clouds and the rain, the memories and the pain, and the tears that they cry. Now the lessons been learned, they all crash and burn. They can leave it behind as soon as they find a new way to fly. They'll leave it behind as soon as they find a new way to fly.
Ladies and gentlemen, C.P. Kelly. Let's give him a big hand. What do you say? Thank you. I know he appreciates it. We've got 25 days to raise $800 at the Kickstarter fund for C.P. Kelly so he can go back into the studio and complete his album. My many, many thanks to Kerry Kendall, who is our guest tonight, and she wrote the book, Goot for You. That's G-O-O-T. Goot for You. And she got the name for the book from her psychiatrist, who had an accent, and instead of saying good for you, he said good for you. So it's, excuse me, it'll make you laugh. Trust me, it'll make you laugh. You can go to Amazon, get it in the tangible form or on the Kindle. Go to Barnes & Noble, Smashwords.com, or go to Kerry Kendall. That's Kendall, KerryKendall.com. And I thank her so very, very much. She enlightened my evening, and I believe that she did the same for you. We want you to email us here at the George Espinlaub Show. Here's the email address, because we don't live in a real world like you do. We live in our world, and in our world, we don't even have a mailbox. But we've got electronic mail, so here's the mail address, the electronic mail address. George C. E. at Comcast.net. George C. E. at Comcast.net. And we appreciate those of you that have taken the time. It don't have to be long. Just some have been long, some have been short, some of them have been in between, but they've all been delightful, and we have appreciated it. Keep them coming. Tell us where you're coming from, what you think, so on and so forth. George C. E. at Comcast.net. Tomorrow night, my goodness, here it is, Thursday already. Tomorrow night, we have one of those sit on the edge of your cedars. That's Espinlaub talk. Sit on the edge of your cedar. A man by the name of Rick Baker out of North Carolina will be with us. He is and has been an investigative journalist. He is and has been a radio host. excuse me, he has written a book. Now, many of you might not be aware of this, but it'll be 4 years ago on February 4th, 4 years ago, that a family by the name of McStay came up missing, vanished, poof, gone. Here, gone. No one seems to know what happened to them. They don't know if it's been foul play and they're buried somewhere, or they just went away, or someone took them away. But Rick Baker has investigated this, and he has followed it, and he has talked to the authorities, including the FBI, and he is going. In fact, his book is going to be released next month in February. The book that he has written about the McStay family. Google it, look up and see what you can find. And tomorrow night, Rick Baker out of North Carolina will be here with us to tell us this intriguing story. So pass the word. Tell your friends, your neighbors, your in-laws, your outlaws, anyone that'll listen to you. Tomorrow night, we are going to listen as Rick Baker discusses the disappearance of the McStay family. It'll put us on the edge of our seats, so don't miss it. I do want to say this to you that listen to us locally here in, here in Sussex County, in Delaware, and throughout the state. This Monday, and this is for folks all around the world. And this is what I told our superintendent when I emailed him about a week ago. In light of the tragedy that took place in Newtown, Connecticut, I have contacted our school superintendent, our district school superintendent here in the Laurel School District. He's going to be with me Monday night, live, here on the George Espinlove Show. It is relevant because it is the question that is being asked by every parent, grandparent across this nation and even around the world. What can we do to keep our children safe in the schoolhouse? He's going to be with us, and we are going to talk, and we are going to discuss, and he is going to share with us. And so, for you that are in the district, please tune in. We are trying to make some kind of, what do I want to call this, Charlie? Anyhow, Charlie is working on the possibility of people being able to call in while the good superintendent, Mr. John Ewald, is with us, and perhaps you have a question for you that live here in the Laurel District or even out of the district, but you have a question that perhaps he could answer. So that is Monday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, right here on the George Espinlove Show. Mr. John Ewald, our Laurel School District Superintendent, will be taking time out of his busy schedule to sit down and talk with us, and we are looking forward to that. Did I cover everything? Okay, Charlie wants to try. Charlie's always for trying new gadgets and new things and new hookups, and he's got some things hooked up to the board. I don't know if this is going to work or not, Charlie. Of course, the last time I said that, lo and behold, it worked, and it worked fine. So, Charlie wants to do this. He's over there wiggling his finger. He wants to hit the button. So, Charlie, you go ahead and you hit the button, and we'll see what happens. It worked, Charlie. Here we are.
You know yeah, yeah.
Charlie, you are a genius. Take a great big bow, and everybody in the Funny Farm Radio studio, give Charlie a great big hand, will you? All right, Charlie, you're something else, baby. Ah, my boy Charlie. Thank you, Charlie. Thanks you. I thank you. We all thank you. Man, whatever Charlie does, it just seems to work. Man, I was gonna say something. I didn't take the time to print it off because honestly, I forgot it. You know me. I have these brain cramps every now and then, and I forgot what I was to do, and sometimes while I'm doing it, I forget what I'm doing. But anyhow, I'll try to remember. I'll make myself a note, and then hope that I can remember where I put my note. But I wanted to print off a little short message that a lady sent me from the UK. The bottom line is she likes our show, and I want to read it to the listeners because when I say down the street, around the corner, across this great nation, and around the world, I want you to know I'm not exaggerating. We had with us on December 21st a friend of mine from Parma, Italy, by the name of Graham Forster, who is an English guy who lives in Italy. He has a tremendous radio show here on the Spreaker Network, and it's called Godiva Radio, Godiva, Godiva Radio. So go to Spreaker.com, type in up there on the the little search box, either Graham Forster or Godiva Radio, and you will hear Graham. He's on every single day from Parma, Italy. We had him on here December 21st, live from Parma, Italy. Such a delightful man, a real gentleman. And then there is Mr. Harry Burke, a dear friend of mine from Northern Ireland, who also has a tremendous radio show on by the name of the Swinging 60s. Oh, you'll love Harry's program. You really will. And I am still trying to persuade Harry to come on to the show, whether it be live or pre-recorded. Nonetheless, we want to hear from Harry way over there in Northern Ireland. How many want to hear from our friend Harry, huh? Yeah, sure. Let's see, there's 5 hours difference. See, Harry, they want you. There's 5 hours difference between us and Harry in Northern Ireland. There's 6 hours difference between us and Graham in Parma, Italy. So, go to there. Lou Balls out of Camden, New Jersey, who's just up the road from me. I'm way down here in lower Delaware. He is up there in Camden, New Jersey. It might seem like a long way off, but Delaware's not that big. So it's a hop, skip, and a jump. Lou and I are going to get together. We talked before Christmas or right after Christmas. I don't know. I went down sick and lost all track of days and so on and so forth. Lou and I are going to get together midpoint between Camden and down here, and we are going to do a mobile radio show, music, the whole gig. You know what I'm saying? And we'll probably do it from a place of business such as a restaurant, because it's always fun to have fine food and good fellowship. So Lou and I are setting that up. There's a lot of good things that's coming down the pike, and Charlie's over there bending his finger again. He wants to push that button, so you go, dude. We'll see what happens. Okay.
Enough to drink, to kill the thoughts of your yesterday dreams. And can you find the words to speak and talk your way out of feeling so weak every day? Every day. Imagine we could fly
that is foot tapping, finger snapping, head bobbing, booty shaking music. Don't you agree? Everybody agrees with that. Charlie, he just in his own little world when he gets things going like that. There he goes again. It's like a itchy trigger finger. He got to push that button on the soundboard. This is all because of Charlie.
Is it that I wanna be like you? Do all the things that you do. You do. Is it that I wanna read your thoughts? Pretend you're Kerouac and we'll get lost inside my mind. Over and over and over and over again. Someone help me. Stop the traffic in my head. Stop. Make the green get into red. There's a symbol and a drum, a symbol and a drum. It's obsession. Oh, stop the traffic in my head. Is it bad I wanna drink you in? Salty sweet with every single sip. You burn my lips. Is it bad I wanna write your name 1,000 times on everything I own? Over and over and over and over again. Someone help me. Stop the traffic in my head. Stop. Till the green turns red. There's a shudder and a shake, electrostatic waves. It's obsession. Oh, stop the traffic in my head. Stop the traffic in my head. Stop the traffic in my head. Make the green get into red. There's a symbol and a drum, a symbol and a drum. It's obsession. Oh, stop the traffic in my head. Stop the traffic in my head. Is it that I wanna be like you? Is it that I wanna be like you?
And that's the way it is. Charlie, you do a fantastic job on that board. I'll tell you what, old buddy, we're going to take a commercial break here. And this is what I want you to do. You're having so much fun over there. I want you to pull up one of our friend Rick Fowler's music. And when we come back from the commercial break, I want you to hit that button, and we can tap our feet, snap our fingers, bob our head, and shake our booty. I'll get it right. But anyhow, that's what we want to do. Listen, you're listening to the George Espinlove Show, and we come to you every Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, right here on the Spreaker Network. We have guests from all walks of life, from all over the world that comes and visits with us and chats with us and gives us some inspiration and some information. And then we just rock. We want to thank our friends down there at, I'll get it right, brain cramp. We want to thank our friends down there at musicalley.com because they supply a great portion of the music we play. We like to present artists that perhaps you've never heard before. Men and women in groups that are on their way up, that are digging it out. You know what I'm saying? They got the foot on the shovel and they're digging it out and they're working hard. We want to present their music, and probably next week we're gonna have one or two of the musicians, groups, whatever, and we're gonna be showcasing their music and talking with them and chatting with them and all that good stuff. And I said a long time ago we was gonna go for a break, which we are. And when we come back, we're gonna play some music by my friend down there in Athens, Georgia, Mr. Rick Fowler. I'll be right back. We're back. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Charlie promised me. I got the thumbs up. He's got the thumb up for me. He's got the wiggling finger. That means he's all set over there. So do it for me, Charlie. Mr. Rick Fowler. You gotta love the rock blues. Infected with the blues.
I'm worried about the future, and I'm haunted by the past, and crazy about the present. I pray that it can't last. Don't worry now, I ain't got all that much to lose. Through my veins runs a sorrow, I'm infected with the blues. I went to see the preacher, I dropped down to my knees. I said, preacher, can you help me to put my soul at ease? He said, son, I'd like to help you, but there's no good I can bring. Those who sleep out with the jackals never hear the angels sing. But don't worry, son, 'cause you ain't got all that much to lose. Nobody wants a soul who's infected with the blues. Off in the distance, you know I used to see a light, but now the light has vanished in the darkness of the night. When the soul begins to wander and the body is its jail, it will lay the body down, boy, to break out of its cell. Well, don't worry now, 'cause there just ain't that much to lose. Through my veins runs a sorrow, I'm infected with the blues.
That's Mr. Rick Fowler from Athens, Georgia, who's been on this show. Tremendous, tremendous man. And his band, the Rick Fowler Band. Well, I want you to know that I'm feeling much better. I have a friend by the name of Johnny Storm. Perhaps some of you listen to his show here on Spreaker Network out of North Dakota, who is down with this flu bug, this thing, whatever this creature is that's been jumping on people. He's down, and he's been down for, I think, almost 2 weeks now. So remember him in your prayers, and let's hope that he gets up soon and he gets back on the air. He's a tremendous individual, so remember that, Johnny Storm. Again, I want to say thank you to our friends down at musicalley.com. A very special thank you to Kerry Kendall, who took time out of her busy schedule to come and be with us tonight and tell us about her book, Goot for You. That's Goot for You. Goot for You. You can get it at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Smashwords.com. Do yourself a favor and read about, a second wife's laughter, or the laughter of a second wife, the laughable life of a second wife. Goot for You, Goot. Thank you so very much, Kerry. And she's got a gang of gals, and they all hang out together, and they're all authors. What is it? Not Yet Dead Girls. That's what they call their group. Sounds like an old Western, gonna hold up a stage or something, ride in and shoot the bad guys. Not Yet Dead Girls. And wow, that's an interesting group. So if you're down there in Florida somewhere and you see that there's a group of Not Yet Dead Girls coming your way, make sure you get there, because I think they'll keep you in stitches. They've got a lot of life experience. Wow. Tomorrow night, please pass the word. Write it down. Don't forget it. Mr. Rick Baker out of North Carolina will be with us, and he will be giving us his account, his theory of what happened to the McStay family. It will be 4 years, February 4th. It'll be 4 years since this family has disappeared. I mean, up, poof, gone. He has interviewed all the authorities that are investigating this disappearance, including the FBI, and he'll be sharing with us tomorrow night. And I'm sure that from the get-go, we'll scrooch out there on the front of our seat. We'll be sitting on the edge of our seat listening to Mr. Rick Baker. So be with us tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. It's been a delight. I'm feeling much better. I'm so happy I'm feeling so much better, coming on the air every single night and spending time with you guys and girls from down the street, around the corner, across this great nation, and around the world. Makes me feel so warm and fuzzy on the inside. Thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your kind words. Send me an email, georgece@comcast.net, georgece@comcast.net. Wherever you're at, whatever you might be going through, remember there's a whole lot of love that comes to you from the Funny Farm. I mean that. We care about people. georgece@comcast.net. Wherever you're at, if it's nighttime, have a good night. If it's already tomorrow, then you have a good day. But regardless of what it is and where you're at, until tomorrow night, same time, same station, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, right here on the Spreaker Network. Tune in for another George Espinlove show that comes to you live from the Funny Farm in a place called Our World. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, wherever you might be good night, and God bless you.